Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, fromtheshadowspodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram at From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar at YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started. Now I'm going to turn you over to your host, Shane Grove.
Hey, welcome everybody to our Thanksgiving edition of the Midweek Howl. So, hope everybody listening is getting ready for a nice feast, sheltering in place with nobody coming over to eat dinner with them, which is what it is here in Ohio. We can't have any big gatherings, and if we do, you got to wear a mask or something like that crazy. So, you guys got any good Thanksgiving plans? Jason, Howler?
Yep, we're going to continue doing what we always do and going to ignore all of the rhetoric.
Yeah, all the rhetoric.
We're having a big family thing like we always do because we're here in rural Missouri, and our how do I say this? Our older Vietnam veteran retired sheriff, who is actually the governor now, said, people know what they need to do. And if you need to stay home, you need to stay home. And if you don't, you don't. But it's not in my place to tell everybody,
there you
what
go.
they can and cannot do. So
yeah. I don't think it's rhetoric. I just think it's a helpful suggestion as to what to do. As
a COVID survivor,
me too.
I'm trying to think of what kind of ribbon I can get. The pink ribbons are for cancer. What could the COVID ribbon be?
How about a diaper going across your face? A strip of diaper. How's that?
I didn't have the heart to tell. So the health official girl, I'm going to say $18 an hour girl, because it was, I saw them advertising for COVID contact tracers and stuff at the county. And it started out, they were offering $10 an hour. And a couple of weeks later, they offered $15 an hour. Now they're $18 an hour. So I guess they couldn't get any people to do it. She told me that I couldn't get it or give it for 90 days. So I does that mean at 91 I got to worry about it again? I don't know.
You know what, Howler? That's not even, our family doctor said they don't know one way or another whether you can get it again.
I'm glad you said that or not, because I don't want to erode people's confidence in the response. Yeah. But I got the impression that this girl was just reading off a sheet, and it was easier than working at the quick shop, which is the reason why she was doing it. And hey, so it's cascaded through my family, starting with my wife, right? My wife is a healthcare professional, and they test them all at the hospital. So she came home positive. And then one day I didn't feel good. She said, you get tested. So it all went through. So to make a long story even longer, the gal that told me the 90 days, you can't get it or give it for 90 days. The following week, my 17-year-old was positive, and she had to seek guidance on whether we had to re-quarantine again because we might be able to get it from him. I said, now, last week you told me I couldn't get it for 90 days. Yeah, but y'all live in the same house, so maybe it's stronger.
Oh, gee.
I said, well, hey, rock on then. I said, I guarantee it's stronger. If you've seen this boy of mine, he's 6'2", 250. I guarantee it's stronger with him. You know, the force is strong with him. I just, you know what I mean? I shake my head, and it killed a good friend of mine. Okay, about 8 weeks ago, it killed an honest to God badass. You know, a guy that was in the 173rd Ranger Regiment back in the day, worked out a lot, stayed in shape a lot. He's 55, but I'm telling you, he's a retired E8. Doesn't mean anything to you guys, but the people know what I'm talking about. He's a retired E8 in the reserves, did 4 tours in Afghanistan. He caught it, and within 10 days, he was dead. So I'm telling you, it kills some people, but so's a drunk driver. You know what I mean? And people still drive. So I don't know, I don't know what the answer is. And I know,
Well, hey, the bottom line is you shouldn't be out drunk driving either. So
that's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm puzzled sometimes about the masks because I saw 2 cops roll up next to me at the gas pump yesterday. They're all cool in their unmarked car and, all this stuff. And they had these little blue masks on, and they just took the wind. I mean, come on, took the badass right off of them. I mean, how are you supposed to quell an uprising with a freaking little blue mask on? A 38-cent mask or whatever. I don't know, man. I feel bad. Back in the old days, what we always did, not always, but you guys know, I started my career with the sheriff in '91, and I tell you what he would do. We'd have this list of warrants. You can't imagine how many wanted people. So where I was from in Jefferson City, Missouri, it's the capital of Missouri. So back in the check writing days, when people used to write on a piece of paper called a check, I had to educate the younger people. If they wrote a check to the state of Missouri for like their license plates or whatever state of Missouri check, if it bounced, they got a warrant out of Cole County, which is where the capital was. I know that sounds goofy. So you had thousands of warrants for people that never even been there. You know what I mean?
Real bad check.
But then you'd have local guys, people just criminals and low-life thugs. And the sheriff I worked for was probably the last of I hate to say the last of a breed, but he had, he went to college and he was like a half-ass ROTC student in college to avoid Vietnam. Let's be honest. So he never went anywhere, never done anything, but sat around a college campus. And then he segued into the juvenile officer, and then rode that all the way up to being the sheriff. But because he had been a juvenile officer and he grew up in right here, he knew every single old-time thug or derelict there was. So some of them would come across the radar and it'd say, whoever, Joe Smith, has been wanted. And he'd say, so starting yesterday or day before, this week leading up to Thanksgiving, it'd say, hey, you need to, if you ain't doing nothing, about 1 o'clock, you have to go out to Smith's house because, everybody goes to Mama's house for Thanksgiving. Every low-life derelict that's got no money, no cigarettes, and no place to go will go home for Thanksgiving. So we would actually go arrest people on Thanksgiving, certain, criminals that we couldn't find any other time of year. And as an old man, I look at that because I've turned liberal since I got into acting and writing and hanging out with you guys. I've kind of turned liberal. So I think now that's kind of crappy in a way, but back then, them days that, you got put in jail for stuff. I tell my son that a lot now, there was a time when you got put in jail for what is common behavior today, whether that be hanging out on the side of the road, begging for money or smoking weed or what have you, being just a hoodlum. Back in the old days, they put your ass in jail for that. And nowadays, they give you a fucking YouTube channel and you're a millionaire. So I don't know where this place is headed. You know what I mean? I don't know where this world's headed, but
well, I guess there's a couple of things, we should all just be thankful for our health that we do have going into Thanksgiving.
That's right. That's
We
right.
should be thankful that you're not out there arresting the lowlifes.
I wouldn't arrest anybody on Thanksgiving. Now, as an old man, I would not. We had certain things. I had I wasn't a very good cop. I've told you that. I wasn't a very good cop. We had a thing where we had, and I think I've told it before maybe, we had a thing where if the House or the Senate, the House was in session in the state of Missouri, you couldn't write a representative or a senator a ticket. You couldn't detain them. So that led into, yeah. So they would drive. I don't know how they are out where you guys out east, but here when they get elected, they get a license plate that'll say S for state senator or R for representative, and then whatever district they're from. So like R133 or whatever. And it was really frowned upon because the agency, especially when I was a state trooper, the agency gets its money from them. Does that make sense? So it was frowned upon. Upper management frowned upon you if you wrote tickets to those guys, because then they had to go ask for budget increases or equipment or whatever, and they'd be like, hey, your boy down there in Ozark wrote me a ticket or whatever. So it was really frowned on. Now, some guys didn't care and made a big production out of writing every politician they could stop. Now, I was the opposite. I let them go, but then I let everybody else go the rest of the day. So I had a drive on Missouri day. And I mean, I had days where I stopped people going 100 miles an hour, and I let them go, and they're going, you're really letting us go? And it's a drive on Missouri day. Now, they didn't realize it was because I had stopped state senator so-and-so or state rep so-and-so, or, every once in a while, judge or prosecutor or something. But if I stopped a politician, I let them go, but I let everybody else go that day too. What? And then I never wrote tickets on Thanksgiving, really, or Christmas. I wasn't that guy, right? It's just Merry Christmas.
I got to be honest with you. The one arrest you should have made every Thanksgiving was the Detroit Lions, because they're
playing. Yeah. Hey, I was gonna say I used to do the shop with a cop thing where you'd have to take these kids around. You know what I mean? And they would have a list of some of them. I don't know where they got their list, but you would take these poor kids up. You'd pick them up in your cop car. It's back when kids loved cops. This is back before. Like nowadays, I don't even know. I don't even know how the world works nowadays, which is why I live down in the country. But we would pick these kids up, poor kids, and take them to Target or Walmart or Kmart. Back in the old days, we had a Kmart, and Santa Claus would, no kidding, come in state patrol helicopter, and Santa Claus would walk in these stores, and you would take these kids that didn't have absolutely nothing. And they had a list, and they could, they would go, and you'd get one or two things for them. I don't remember which. And it was just a very good, feel-good time,
Well, you know what? That's something that everybody should really get behind is giving to people less fortunate, because there's a lot of people out there less fortunate. Not everybody gets, I'm sitting here in a mail truck full of packages for people that are very fortunate. I mean, they got money to buy stuff, and
but
go
ahead.
I'm just saying that that I just feel that like there's a lot of people that don't have the money, that don't have the ability, and it always feels good to give.
Well, the flip side of that is sometimes they take their gift and turn it into money. So I'm driving down the highway one day, midnight, 3 in the morning, 2:33 in the morning, a major 4-lane divided highway, what they call limited access. So it's not quite an interstate, but it has entrance and exit ramps, So anyhow, big highway, 70-mile-an-hour speed limit, and there was a brand new pair of shoes in the road. The box was there and the shoes were out, and I drove past it, and I thought maybe I should pick up a pair of shoes. And then I seen another pair of shoes in the road in a box. And when I'm telling you this, I'm slowing down. I'm going about 45 now, thinking about picking up that pair, picking up this pair, and it's like a crumb trail of shoes. And then boom, there's a whole broken case box of shoes in the street, in the highway. So I turn all my lights on. So I pick this case box up, and I cut down through the median, and I pick up all of those things. I ended up with 24 pairs of Adidas shoes between sizes 9 and 12, and it was like they were like 4 deep in this box. I don't remember if it was 6 on the bottom and 4 high, or 4 on the bottom or 6 high, but there was 24 pairs of Adidas tennis shoes, right, in this case box.
Was Run DMC in town? Or
no,
what?
Yeah. So and then I'm like, we got a moral dilemma. So I go back to the office and I said, hey, did anybody, I try to do a little due diligence, and I've got this case box of shoes in the back of my marked cop car, and we took our cars home. As a trooper, you took your cars home. So a day or 2 or 3 later, my big brother worked at the local big Chevy dealership. And with some guys he worked at the dealership with, they had a race car, like B modified, A modified. Y'all race dirt back east, I don't know, but dirt track racing's kind of big here. So they worked on this car in this one guy's house. He didn't live there anymore, but he had grew up there, and it was kind of in a depressed area of town. So I'm over there. I pull in one day to talk to him on a Saturday, and there's half a dozen poor ass kids that would come over and watch him work on the race car. And I'm talking poor kids. So I said, hey, you guys got shoes? And they said, what do you mean? I said, y'all, and I give 5 or 6 of these kids brand new pairs of Adidas shoes. Which size do you want? So, whatever they needed, I give them. And then they took them home. And then the mom come over and go, hey, did you get these boys shoes? I said, yeah, I have a pair. Anybody else need? She said, well, my daughter needs a pair. So I ended up giving like 7 pairs of shoes out of the 24 I had. I took the rest over to the Salvation Army, just give them to them, right? Well, the following weekend,
That's a great story so far. I'm feeling good.
So a week or two later, my brother and them are back over. And what the deal was, when you got to go to the bathroom and you got a gun and stuff on, you only go to the bathroom certain places. So I'd go over to this garage, and I'd go to the bathroom in the garage because I'd take my gun off. I could do whatever I wanted to. I didn't have to worry about anybody tearing up my car or jumping me or anything else. You know what I mean? So as I'm rolling into this garage where they're raking on this race car, I see this big neighborhood yard sale going on. And when I tell you this is a pretty depressed area, I mean, it's pretty, for where I'm at, it's pretty depressed. I mean, I'm guessing you guys are, it ain't like inner city Cleveland, but it's a pretty depressed area. So something caught my eye as I was driving, and it looked like on the table was that Adidas box, like a pair of them shoes. You know what I mean? So I go to the bathroom, I hang out with my brother and talk to these guys, and they said, hey, you remember all them shoes you give them kids? I said, yeah. And they got them for sale over there in that yard sale for $25 a pair. And I said, oh, come on. He goes, nope. That mom, as soon as they got home, their moms took all those shoes away from those kids, put them back on the street barefoot. And they're selling those shoes. And Roger's the guy that grew up here who owned this place. I said, oh, bullshit. He goes, no, I grew up in this neighborhood. That's the way it is. That is the way it is. So I walked down I pulled out on the curb, pulled out down, went 2 or 3 houses to this neighborhood garage sale. I got out of my car, walked up to this table, and all 6, 7 pairs of them Adidases are out there. And it was either $20 or $25 they wanted for, brand new. And this guy goes, you want a pair of shoes? Those are brand new. Ain't never been wore. I'll make you a deal on them. And I looked at her and I said, no, I don't think they'll fit me, but thanks. I got back in my car and I left. So maybe they need the money more than the shoes. I don't know. God bless them, right?
Well, on that note, let's wish everybody out there, all our fans, a happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's safe and has fun and enjoys whatever company and turkey and pumpkin pie they're having. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.